do what I do. You'll return.
Good Shabbos.
Good for you.
Okay.
I can dabble.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
I feel like I can.
As we begin the Shabbat with Hine Matov, and I am not good at this to grow together.
Hine Matov Manai.
No, you can't add it. It just doesn't talk
Hine Matov Manai. Sheravim Kanyana.
Your fault, I don't say it.
Hine Matov Sheravim Kanyana. Hine Matov Sheravim Kanyana. Hine Matov Manai. Sheravim Kanyana. Hine Matov Manai. Sheravim Kanyana. Hine Matov Manai. Sheravim Kanyana. Hine Matov Manai.
If I could have some late, oh, that's really loud. Wow. I'll stand it back here. You want to turn it down? I can turn it down. I couldn't hear it all, and now it's like, wow, my goodness. Carrots and peas and carrots. I was like, wow. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. If I could have some ladies come please light the Shabbat candles. As long as we're here. Exactly, we don't want you to.
Let's put the reverb way up.
You should have a match. I have something for you. Money. Are you Russian? Did you play Norwegian?
No problem.
Sing.
You were 99.9%. Oh man, as we welcome in the Sabbath angels, the angels.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Melech, Malachei Hamachim, Akadosh Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Melech, Malachei Hamachim, Akadosh Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Melech, Malachei Hamachim, Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei
Wish each other good jobs. I think mine are the only children here. So I'm telling you guys.
Did they sign that contract yet?
part of it's going to also include that they have to be praying during services. So probably can get from Menashe. Yivrachacha Adonai b'shmerecha, Yerna v'ralecha yachuneka, Yisorna v'ralecha v'yosem. So we're small tonight. So I think maybe we're going to change things up a little bit, if that's okay. And talk about the last week a little bit. Because it's been quite a week. I guess we've talked about a little bit. So we're going to do the Baruch Hu and the Shema. And then we're going to sit and talk for a little bit, if that's okay. Does that work for you guys? Yeah. Okay. So we continue on page 50 with the Baruch Hu.
Yeah, well, you know.
As we rise to the Baruch Hu.
No, we're not looking at this.
She's already here, man. Benny wants to do L'chadodi too.
No,
We'll do L'chadodi too?
I mean,
She's already here, because I saw her, but that's okay. Let's sit back down while we, it's okay. Sit down. Sit.
I just, when we talk about Shabbat.
You look, I'm all.
I didn't see her.
Well, look harder.
I was waiting.
Betty, she's there, you just need to look.
Well, join on page 38 with L'chadodi. La 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 L'chadodi. La 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 L'chadodi. La 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 B'nei Shabbat. B'nei Shabbat Nekah. La 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 L'chadodi. La 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 L'chadodi. La 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 L'chadodi. La 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 B'nei Shabbat. B'nei Shabbat Nekah.
More is a for contempt.
Shalom Bezachor, B'Kol Echad, Ish B'Yad, Elav Yuchad, Adonai Echad, U'Shmo Echad, L'Shem U'Tiferet,
brings us of right, blesses us with all that is good. And she reminds us how special life is, how special Shabbat is, how special our unique relationship with God is. Shalom, Ateret Malam, Besimcha, Uzola, Tov Emuneh, Am Segula. Remain standing is now the camera call. Please be seated. And for a moment, think about God's love for us. Ahavat Olam means God's eternal love. It also means God loves the world, and it also means God's hidden love. And all of that can be experienced over the course of the day, an hour, a moment, a week. And it can all be experienced at once, too. So for a moment, think how God loves you, your family, your friends, your community, how God loves this nation, Israel, and the world. To you. There's no right or wrong, but how do you feel God loves? From there, we can say the Shema with authenticity. Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohim Adonai Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha
נפשך וכל מידותיך, והיו בדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננת לבניך, ודיברת בם, ושיתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, ושכב לראות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, ולטפם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך. למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Continue on page 66 with the hot seat.
יקרא שם בין הבא, יעמד דברה חירתי וימליך מלכותי, ויכול יום יבוא, ויבוא בית ישראל, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, וימלאו עלי, אשתי לעלות לבורה, Yalom Yamaya Yilbara Yitbara Yishma Yitbara Mohammed Nasir Yitbara Yitale Yitbara Shmerik Yishab Beru Leila Mekor Kata Shirata
Please rise.
Tushmeka Tanemata Nabira Meyama
So the Amidah is really about how each individual prays. Here's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And some of the prayers within the Amidah, I know everyone here always reads every page. But sometimes in other temples they don't. But really the key of it has to do with that we should protect the Sabbath. It has this idea that for all your blessings we shall praise and exalt you, our God, our sovereign. God is our King. And really peace is great to come after we really become one of our prayers with Shalom Rav. So for a moment think and focus on not just your relationship with God, but your relationship with Israel. People of Israel, land of Israel. Teaches Israel. It is so important right now to be very, very clear about what's going on. Think about your prayers for Israel, and when you are done with those personal prayers for yourself, and especially for Israel, let me see. everlasting peace to your people Israel. To all. You, the supreme sovereign of all peace, may it please you to bless your people Israel in every season, every hour of peace. Praise from you, O Lord our God, bestower of peace on Israel. Shabbat.
Shalom Israel, Hasid Leolam. Shalom Israel, Hasid Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon. Shalom Israel, Hasid Leolam. Shalom Israel, Hasid Leolam. Tov Einecha Levanem, Et Amcha Yisrael. Bechorenu Avoshcha Yishlomecha. Shalom Israel, Hasid Leolam. Shalom Israel, Hasid Leolam. Hasid Leolam. Hasid Leolam.
You know it's going to last a long time. I'm sitting. Joshua. I think it's worth spending some time on what's going on in the world and on today's Torah portion. The Torah portion is a story you all know. The Red Sea split. How many of you heard that story? That's wrong. It's actually Yam Suf, meaning Sea of Reeds. And it doesn't split. They're different midrashim. One is that the waters part. One is that there's sandbars. There's 12 different sandbars, one for each of the tribes. One is that there's a different pathway for every one of the 600,000 Jews. Another one is that it does sort of split, and they have a couple of inches of water, and that they could pick fish out of the water or food out of the water to eat as they were crossing. Here's what we do know. They get to the sea, and they got the Egyptians behind them and the sea in front of them. And they have an abandonment. I knew that the Jews were abandoned in that moment. Right before that moment, we're taught that before, when we come out of Egypt, we don't come out alone. We come out with a multitude of nations. And that when we get to the Sea of Reeds, shortly before that, those other people who came out with the Exodus, who were not Jews, were not Hebrews, they left and they went that way. And they went to Africa. And there are teachings of Moses and Joshua with the Yoruba people of Nigeria that predate Europeans coming to Africa. We also know that there are Jewish tribes in both Uganda and Ethiopia. Some say that they come from Solomon and Sheba, but others say that the ones in Uganda actually came at that time. So there we are, we've been abandoned, we're all alone, and we've got a sea in front of us, and the Jews start to whine. this becomes a habit we perfect. And not only do they start to whine, they start to guilt each other. Another habit we perfect. And one man named Nachshon from the tribe of Benjamin runs into the water until the water is right below his nose and above his lips as the sun sets. And he stays there with total faith. And a Shirako comes and blows all night. And what we see in the morning is, whether it's sandbars or pathway, we're across the sea. And then the Egyptians follow us, and what happens to them? They drown. And the waters crash back upon them, and they all drown, or they're taking their chariots on the sandbar, and they sink. Whatever it may be, they're all destroyed. And the angels start to sing hymns of praises and rejoice. And God says, the work of my hands is being destroyed, and you want to sing psalms of praise. This whole passage is the zenith, the climax of our Exodus. The next thing is we're going to get Matan Torah, we're going to get Torah, which is not part of the Exodus. That's part of, a different story. And it is so appropriate, this zenith, this height today, and this weeks and months. For 4 months, I keep saying prayer and action, faith and action. How many of you guys have heard me say that, read me say that? But my writing that. Nachshon is the epitome of the prayer and action, isn't he? He's running in with action, but he has faith because of prayer. Faith and action. Remember, he's from the tribe of Benjamin. Does anyone remember who Benny is? Little Benjamin? No, not that Benny. Not that Benny. Benjamin is the brother of Joseph. He's also a very specialness to him. But let's think about we're at the zenith of this journey, we're at this great climax, and the sea parts. But prior to that, and all the way up to the moment of when we cross the sea, it's really a different kind of story. It's like a roller coaster. How many of you like roller coasters? You would have loved being in Egypt during this time period. Do you remember Dr. Dolittle? Dr. Dolittle? There was an animal in Dr. Dolittle. It push me, pull you. Right? That's sort of what went on with all the Hebrews in this time. Pharaoh's heart is hardened, Pharaoh's heart is softened. Pharaoh's heart is hardened, Pharaoh's heart is softened. Go, get out of here. No, wait, I'm not going to let you. It's literally a roller coaster. And that's what our ancestors experienced. And it's what we're experiencing. And there were hidden pieces. When you really examine the text, there's all these hidden things when Pharaoh is saying no, that a part of him is saying yes, and when he's saying yes, that a part of him is saying no. And it doesn't really happen until we finally get out after the death of the firstborn. And we're sitting there at the sea, but it takes one man's action with Emunah Shlema, with perfect faith, and the entire sea. So there's so many lessons. The obvious lesson is that we need to destroy evil. When God destroyed Pharaoh's soldiers, and God forbid we ever rejoice in it. But it's also this lesson, this whole period of how we do this roller coaster. God puts us on this roller coaster each time that we're experiencing something. It's to help people have faith, people act righteously. October, the services in October, you had 100 people coming to services. All the temples were full.
Yeah.
People's heads were imploding. Now it's in the distant memory for too many people. That's why I keep writing, so that it doesn't stay in people's memories, that we're conscious of. And interesting, tomorrow is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And today, the International Court of Justice, International Holocaust Remembrance Day was actually a holiday created by the United Nations.
Right.
Okay? And let's just say the United Nations has not been kind to Israel quite a long time. And at the same time, we had another arm of the United Nations, the International Court of Justice in The Hague. They had been trying this case that South Africa had brought, that Israel's committing genocide. Which is so ironic coming from South Africa. Does anyone know who the other country backing them up in a big way was? Another real foundation of justice, Turkey. Okay, Turkey was also testifying, or friend of the court. And first thing we hear in the morning, as soon as I heard it, tried to the email, first thing we hear in the morning is that they did not say ceasefire. Because that's what South Africa was hoping. How many thought that was a big victory? And you look at whatever they actually said. It's not a victory, it's a setup. Actually, look what they said. So everyone got all hot, right? This is great, we got a victory. They're not going to tell us to ceasefire, except they didn't condemn Hamas. They didn't. They told we have a month to come back. A month we're supposed to come back and demonstrate that we're not committing genocide, that we're not killing innocent people from Gaza, that all those kind of things. It's a setup. They could have just said, no, this is defense against the war against Hamas. They do not say anything bad about Hamas in their judgment. So is that a victory? It could have been worse.
Right, there you go.
Okay, it could have been worse.
It's a Jewish way to say it.
Well, it's actually a Catholic way to see it that we just sort of adopted from them. But it is a Jews could have adopted it. It could have been worse. It could have been a lot better too. And it's important to understand that what seemed at first like a huge victory. When I got a call from someone, text from someone, oh, you know what? They've said no ceasefire, I think it's great. When you really look at it, it's not so great. But it could have been worse. The question is, can it get us to the Sea of Reeds? Can it get us to a place where we Jews return to God and have faith? Our ancestors saw 10 plagues. Yet when they got to the Sea of Reeds, they were whining and complaining. Which they keep doing, by the way. Even when the sea parts, they still whine and complain. Man, it doesn't taste good. Why'd you bring us out here to die in the desert? Okay. But I think it's really important for us to talk just for a few minutes about the fact that they experienced all those miracles, and yet they still lost faith. And it took the actions of one man, Nachshon. A lot of Jews have lost faith in the last 4 months. A lot of Jews have, in the first week, we were totally united, right? Every Jew. But now, not so much, huh? There's pushing, and by the way, if you read Western media, European and American media, you would think that all of Israel is protesting against Netanyahu, right? Yeah, that's not what's happening. Okay, that's not what's happening over there. People have some problems with them, but they all realize you got to win the war before you have a victory party. Okay. But what is Israel getting? They're getting extra pressure because they've been abandoned by their greatest ally, the United States. Okay, the U.S. abandoned us doing things.
Yeah.
So we're on this roller coaster. Was it a win or a loss, the judgment today? It's both. But then we need to remember what we're really celebrating in today's portion. And the women lead it, because women are intuitively more intuitive than men. That was redundant, wasn't it? But the women lead it, and they're not celebrating the death of the Egyptians. What are they celebrating? What is it, Judy?
Freedom.
Freedom. And the redemption by God. If you look at the book of Judges, it's constant and repetitive. Everyone's good. The Hebrews have their own tribal lands and the clan lands, we should try this. And and everything's good, and then people forget who their real partner is, and then what happens? Someone comes and beats them up. Until the women cry out enough. And they cry and they cry and they cry, and then God sends a redeemer. Deborah, Gideon, Samson, whoever. Rita made a great comment that the cup is not full of enough tears yet. Allison will vouch, I cry every day, don't I? If I'm not crying, I'll go watch some video to make me cry.
Yeah.
That is right. Because I want that cup filled so we can be redeemed. How many of you are tired of this war? Just you feel war weary, honestly. And how many of you also are just devastated by it every moment or many moments? Then cry. In the Chanukah, we say, hitorari, hitorari. It means to light up your fire. To your own light up your own fire. We talk usually about that being passion, but passion doesn't just mean being happy. Passion also means being willing to sob. Those tears, especially from women. It's like how I got us out of the job. Especially for the women. Your tears mean so much to God and so much to life. And we need to cry and we need to rejoice knowing that God has redeemed us. And here's really the good news. Historically, God has always redeemed us, hasn't he? We have been abandoned by our allies before. We thought everything was hunky-dory in Spain. That didn't work out so well. We thought everything was great in Germany. I was talking with Dov Cameron. Somebody remember Dov? Dov was Richard Cameron's brother. Dov moved to Florida. Dov's wife, Emily, had brain surgery. Maybe some of you remember her. Thank God she's fine. And we were talking about the fact that, when we think about Jews in Germany and Poland, that part of the world, pre-World War II, we talk about the heroes. Rabbi Alfred Wolf, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, these great rabbis who came out of Germany and Poland and escaped. But that was not the majority of the rabbis, folks. 80, 90% of them stayed there saying this was never going to happen in Germany. And what happened to them? They died. We remember the heroes, but that's not what was going on in the Jewish world. So should we really be surprised that there was, this past week and a half ago, a gathering of Reform rabbis, and the vast majority of them just want a truce and a ceasefire, and let's sing Kumbaya with Hamas. And let there be a Palestine of the West Bank and Gaza controlled by the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. Okay, that's what a large group of Reform rabbis, the vast majority of them agree on.
They just chose it as their jobs. They're not real. Right?
It's Shabbos, I make no comment. So the point is that that's what they're cheering. Will that ever work? No. We don't get to assimilate into Egypt. That destroys us, and we need to remember that. It didn't happen 3,700 years ago. We needed to hold our identity, and we need to hold it now. And we need to hold it true as Jews, and we need to have faith, and we need to have action. And we really, really need to take the exemplary actions. I can't sit down too long. The exemplary actions of Nachshon. The challenge for each of us is, what are each of us doing to make the world better, to make it more favorable to Jews? What are we doing? Are we crying enough so God says, okay, enough tears? There was a recent article this last couple of days by someone who's an American who was interviewing soldiers in Israel, going to Gaza and interviewing the soldiers. You know what they consistently said? Make sure that they still have faith in us in the home front. We need to finish our mission. We're not here to cease fire. We're not here to surrender. We're not here for a tie. We're here to defeat evil. Guys working in tanks, they sleep in their tanks. The infantry sleep wherever they can. and they have faith. And if you don't believe that, there are tons and tons of videos you can watch of how our soldiers, our IDF guys, are celebrating being Jewish, lighting Shabbat candles, getting married to each other on the front. I mean, you've seen some of those weddings. Aren't they beautiful? They're just like, it's just so touching. And we need to have that passion here because we are the support system for it. We need to have the passion with giving our time, our energy, our finances. I want to share a story that happened. When did I see Risk? What was it, Wednesday? So, how many of you know who Risk is? Kelly Gravis. Risk is the artist who did that beautiful piece for my birthday, and Risk's art sells for $100,000 plus.
This is going to be a surprise.
It's not. It's not showing you. It's not a surprise because it's going to be expensive. So we want to raise. We're responsible for having raised over $500,000 for B'nai Zion Hospital in Haifa, which is so necessary right now in the north. And they still need a lot of equipment. Remember, it was an empty hospital. And so I was talking with Eyal, who will be here in a week and a half. He'll be here, and so they'll come visit and talk about Nafla Galil and about B'nai Zion and stuff, and Maccabee probably. And I had a conversation with a couple other people, and so we decided, it would be a really great fundraiser, big money fundraiser, to use all of our relationships with all the people we have, and to do an event for drinks and desserts for $1,800 a couple. Okay, big event. But if we could get Risk to make a piece of art and do 100 signed serigraphs, the serigraphs sell for $2,500 plus. So every couple gets a serigraph. They're getting more than the cost of the ticket. And then you have an auction for the big piece. So we could raise maybe $250,000 a night with the right people. So like 4 or 5 of us are talking about who we could reach out to, maybe. Right? So I called up Risk, whatever, last week, and I said to him, his actual name is Kelly, and I said, hey, older brother, so Kelly, we talked a while, and he reached out to me at the end of October, and I had said, we just hadn't connected because of everything in the war. And I told him about B'nai Zion, and I told him about the hospital and how we need to heal people. And I said, we have this idea for an event that would be a very small, very, very small event, but very expensive. Because that's very expensive. And, for B'nai Zion, 100% of it goes to the hospital. And if you'd be willing to do a piece of art, and we can make 100 serigraphs. And his reaction, now Kelly's Jewish, but he's not exactly an observant Jew. He's a very religious Jew because he really lives in a good way, but he's not exactly an observant Jew. And he's such a nudge. And he said, Rabbi, I've been waiting for your call. I knew you were going to call me at some point for something like this. I've already created the piece.
Wow.
Can you come over and see it? And I have a picture of it on my phone. And I went to his house, and then we went to the studio, which is right here on Thousand Oaks Boulevard. And it's beyond spectacular. And it's not just a piece of art. It's metal and art and a sculpture and neon, all of it as a multicolored Jewish star.
Oh.
And he's going to do 100 serigraphs of it as well. I'll take a still picture and do 100 serigraphs. Cycles. We lose allies, we gain allies, right? This guy's going to give what could end up being $250,000 for a hospital. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's almost our yearly budget. Okay. He's an auction. He's a person who has faith and who acts. And we all need to have that faith and act. We need to act, even if the action is only sobbing, being willing to let ourselves sob. And if you're willing to sob, what else do you have to be willing to do? If you're willing to be extremely sad, what do you need to be willing to do? Eat? Extremely.
Choice.
There you go. Don't worry. Be happy. We need to celebrate life. We need to live it fully with joy and with pain. This is the secret to get out of the fear that the Hebrews had and that we all have. Who's scared right now? Let's be honest about the survival of Israel. And the way we get out of that is by crying and by rejoicing. So Miriam teaches us it perfectly, right? Because what does she do? And again, why do these people come and save and redeem Israel? Because of the tears of the women. And who leads the joyous celebration that the sea has been parted? The women. So each of you ladies has a responsibility, a blessing, and a privilege to lead all of us very silly men, which is redundant, but to lead the world, the Jewish world especially, in tears of joy and an exultation, to lead us with your pain, to lead us with your joy. My prayer for all of us is that we start to experience that joy by not being scared of the pain and by allowing ourselves to be led by the women to truly feel and express our feelings 100%. Because we too are a sea of reeds in the world. And our allies have abandoned Israel. But it is the tears and the joy of the women that will lead us home. My prayer is that we encourage that, accept it, embrace it, and rejoice, cry, and rejoice. Amen.
Women dancing with their temples, follow Miriam as she sing a song to the one who's been exalted. Miriam and the women dance, they dance all night long. But if you can write me a chapter, she was good when she sang the street. With every strand and every thread, she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the night. And the women dancing with their temples, follow Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song of the one who's been exalted. Here and the women dance, they dance all night long. When Miriam stood along the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass its freedom and go to the promised land. And the women dancing with their temples, follow Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one who's been exalted. Here and the women dance, they dance all night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam waves her voice and song, she sang with praise and might. We've just been through a miracle, we'll dance on its way tonight. Oh, and the women dancing with their timbrels, follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who's been exalted. Here and the women dance, they do all night long. Dancing with their timbrels, follow Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one who's been exalted. Here and the women dance, they dance all night long. Here and the women dance, they dance all night long. Miriam and the women dance, they dance the whole night long.
We need to rejoice and we need to be sad and we need to rejoice again. And that is life and that is joy. Announcements, we have announcements.
Judaism 101, Monday.
Judaism 101 is Monday night. We have Talmud Tobacco a week and a half. No, not this Wednesday, a week from Wednesday. Next Friday we have Shabbat services. Yes? No? Yes.
Next Friday?
Next Friday? Orlando?
I don't think so.
I don't know, whatever he says. We might have Saturday, I don't know.
I'm very up to date on mine.
You're very, see, I'm
Shabbat
the
calendar.
other hand and
Next Friday.
working on a few hours a night. And
Yes, we have on the second.
on February 2nd, we have services. Also, we are going to have a guest with Eyal Teiberger, who will be here. Eyal, that's not next week, February 2nd is next week?
Yes.
Oh, so we do have next Friday.
I guess so.
Friday.
Yes, no, okay. Eyal Teiberger, who is the CEO of the Maccabi Games, will be here to talk about Maccabia, talk about B'nai Zion, saying thank you, and also about a city called Nov HaGalil, which is in the north of Israel. So he will be here, and this war keeps going on. It's going to get worse before it gets better, folks. Okay, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Today did not help us. Just so everyone knows, South Africa and Hamas were both celebrating today. So that tells you.
Can I just disagree with you?
Sure.
I think it would be a disaster if they ordered a ceasefire. So-
Absolutely.
So the fact that.
So it could be worse.
It-
It could be,
Yeah.
but it was not a win. It was not a win. You were right. It could have been a lot worse. But it
Well,
wasn't a
doesn't
win.
that make it a win? I mean, if it could have been so bad, it would have been terrible.
It also could have been with them saying, "This
Yes,
is."
it could have been better, right?
You know, they could have been a lot better in their judgment. They could have talked about Hamas. They could have talked about the crimes. They could have talked about all sorts of things. Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just, this is just stuff I saw on MSNBC when I went to my parents' house. No, it has nothing to do with politics. I just don't understand what a world court is, or anything. Like, these people just are like waiting to walk into a court, and I just don't know where this fits in.
You know what?
Suddenly, there's this court of world.
It's been around. It was established by the United Nations. It's one of the 6 arms of the UN. And how many of you actually know what the Hague is? Okay, it's an international court. There are certain justices that sit on it. I think each of the original members of the Security Council have a seat. I think that's people of the original permanent seats. Other people rotate around, and you have different judges. And typically, you have the judges, and then the country that is accusing has a judge on as well. The country that's defending has a judge on as well. And it's crimes against humanity or the Genocide Convention and things like that. And the real problem with it, besides being useless and anti-Semitic and hating Jews and hating Israel.
Welcome to the UN.
Thank you. But beyond that, the real problem with it is that the only people who pay attention to it aren't the people who are causing the problems.
Yeah.
Hamas is not a member of the UN.
Yeah.
Hezbollah is not a member of the UN. So they don't abide by any of those laws. But what can happen is if a country that is like Israel is attached, they can censure. They can cause all sorts of problems. It's one of the reasons that they put all this pressure on South Africa when South Africa was apartheid. Because they said, oh, look, they're apartheid, and they put all this pressure and all these things. So it doesn't have any teeth on the one hand, and on the other hand, they have great teeth. Does that make sense? The judgment. You know, had they said that,
I mean, yeah, just.
had they said that they said there's going to be a ceasefire right now, and Israel would have said no, then they would have put all sorts of sanctions, and the world would have stopped doing business and trade with Israel and things like that. Does that help? So that's yeah. Go ahead, Alex.
I think Israel should tell the UN to go pound sand and do what they want to do, protect the people, protect the country, and people don't like it, do that.
That's what a lot of Israelis feel. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else saw it, but I saw an article that was it today in the Wall Street Journal that there was a riot against Hamas by Gazans.
Yeah.
It was a few days ago.
Yeah.
It was a few days ago. And there are also Israelis who have personally gone to protest and block any aid going to Gaza, saying, why are we sending aid to the people who want us dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alice.
The reason why the Gazans were protesting was because they're hungry. Otherwise, they would still support Hamas. There's not one Gazan who's worth it.
So it's a tough situation, but it is, the point is that you're right, it could have been a lot worse, but it also could have been a lot better. And in some ways, it's kicking the can down the road for a month. Because they say you have to be back in a month, and you have to ensure, get the exact language they use, but it's something to the effect that Israel must make sure that there's no innocent people from Gaza being killed or being hurt, and no innocent civilians.
How is that even possible,
And therein,
given the scenario?
Matt, is the setup. So what can happen from this is, what will happen from this is the world will now pressure Israel. You know you got to go back in a month. What are you going to do?
The terrible thing is that languages keep changing, and what used to be considered reasonable,
Proportional.
not proportional, collateral damage on war to protect yourself and for defense has now become genocide.
No, it's okay with every other country.
Yeah,
It's just Israel.
yeah, I understand.
So you're right, Ken. It could have been a lot better, but it also, it could have been a lot worse, but it also could and should be a lot better. So, other announcements. Joel's hanging out. Yes.
So Ken and I are the proud grandparents of a granddaughter, and her name is Leora.
Mazel tov.
Yeah.
Mazel tov. Just like older men, I got two.
So Leora, I don't know if people know, means my light.
To the light, or to her light, or to my light.
So she will hopefully carry on the tradition, and we're really proud.
Has she had a baby naming?
Not yet. She was just born today at 1 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. There's a beautiful tradition with girls' baby namings. John, girls' baby namings. It's a little different than with young men's, with boys' baby namings. There's a wonderful tradition in the Orthodox world that what you do is you have when we do a bris, we bring the baby over the chair of Elijah. You actually bring the Torah up to her, and she touches the tips, the scrolls of the Torah.
Maybe she'll come here.
That sounds like a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so we have those kind of. I just got feeling like I got reverb. Now it's just your ears clear up. So we have those kind of announcements, and again, please. If you're not laughing or crying each day about Israel, celebrating or in pain, do one or both. It will make a difference, especially all of you women. God hears our tears. And it is from that we actually get the teaching of Mishabera, which is when we call out someone's name for healing, we call them out by the name of their mother, not their father, by their mother. Because the Zohar teaches that all of the gates of heaven are open to the tears of the mother. So, if a man's the son of, David and Shoshana, it would be the son of, he would be called to Torah as the son of David, but called for healing as the son of Shoshana. That's how powerful women's tears are. I was saying to Rita, I have a gift, and it's sort of 150 years old, I'm not exactly sure how old. It's this, somewhere in North Africa, Morocco, I think. It's about this big. It's a vial, and it has a Jewish star. You know what I'm talking about, the little one with it. It's got a little stopper on it. Pull the little stopper. It looks like a little stick with a little teaspoon. It's to catch your tears and put them in the bottle. Because of how powerful they are. So if you have someone you wish to pray for, I ask that you please rise as we call out their names. For Mishabera. Call out Chayabat Tamara, Friedman's mom. Anyone else up there? Kelly German. Gail was. And we call for healing for anyone, all those who need, especially those who have been injured or gotten sick defending the United States, especially defending Israel. All those soldiers who have been injured, they may receive full refuah them. All those who have no one to pray for. We pray for their healing. All the first responders, all those who have gotten sick or injured. In God's name, we pray for Mishabir.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Ishevera, Imotenu, Before Abraham, Leavotenu, bless those in need of healing, with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn to page 118. We rise to take upon ourselves the willingness to be passionate, to feel feelings as deeply as possible and then more deeper. To feel pain and sorrow and joy and jubilation, grief and healing. To feel them all as deeply as we can. We take that upon ourselves so that we can serve God with those Please be seated as we turn to page 124 to say Kaddish. Kaddish, recognizing that every soul makes God greater. their life and in their death. Let's take the best of those qualities of the ones we love and walk them in the world. If there's someone you wish to say Kaddish for, there's a yard side because it's your mourning or just because I ask you all the names. Barclay. You want time Ben now? We say prayers for all those who died, for acts of nature or acts of war, especially acts of war, those who died in service to the United States or Israel, especially those soldiers in the Israeli Defense Force. Over 200 of them. Who died. Sanctification of God's name, protection of Israel and the children. It's your custom to rise for Kaddish. We do so. Let's continue with Kaddish. Be'omad yibrach yitei v'yomad yitei. V'chayachon v'yomachon. V'chayei lefol Beit Yisrael. V'hagalah b'zman kariv. Heshmei ra'al ha'rach. Ve'olam olam me'en ha'mayah. Yibrach v'shtabach. V'ar v'yomad yitei. Dar v'yitei v'yitei. V'edikim shah v'yomad. Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata v'shbachata v'nechamata. V'ra'el Ve'eshlam ha'rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'yimru. Osei shalom v'ramav v'ya'asei shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'yimru. The one who ordains peace to the universe. Bring peace upon these souls, their families, their communities, this nation. Israel, please God. Peace on the world. And together we say, Amen. And it doesn't matter what the world does to us. We live. And that's why we celebrate. Because we got the best partner ever. We don't really know how to pronounce his name, so we just say, I don't know. But he is a party animal who loves to celebrate with us, the people of Israel.
I'm Israel, 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 oh, Rabbeinu, oh, Rabbeinu, oh, Rabbeinu, oh, Rabbeinu, oh, Rabbeinu, May God bless us, all of us, and all of Israel with good health, prosperity, and peace. Shabbat Shalom.